Hi everybody, Honest John here. Ronald Reagan is a conservative and Republican icon. And he was fond of saying things like, the scariest words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Or, government is not the solution, government is the problem. This has become a mantra for the Republican Party. They constantly talk about shrinking the government, letting the market decide, and, of course, deregulation. So, when Republicans are in control, the first thing they do is slash regulations. Donald Trump did it at the beginning of his term. George Bush did it. That was George W. Bush. George H.W. Bush did it. Every Republican has slashed regulations on businesses. And even when they leave regulations in place, the people they put in charge of regulatory bodies don't enforce the regulations. And this always ends in disaster. Deregulation of the oil industry led to the Gulf oil spill and lots of bursting pipelines all around the United States and all around the world, in fact. Deregulation of the banks and Wall Street traders led to the financial collapse of 2008. And this year we have the Texas energy disaster, which was caused by the fact that the Texas Republican government kept that electrical grid separate from the rest of the nation's electrical grid so that they wouldn't have to regulate it. And as a result, they didn't do simple things like winterize their pipes and have enough fuel to deal with the demand that might happen if they happen to have some cold weather. And this led to the total collapse of Texas' electrical system. See, the problem with deregulation is that there is an assumption that the people who run the businesses will do the right thing, even if there are no rules in place to force them to. That's never happened in the entire history of the world. The idea that business leaders possess even a smidgen of ethics and morality is naive. There are some business owners, CEOs, and executives who are good people. But the majority, and especially when it comes to the big companies, the big businesses in the United States, the majority of the people running them are sleazy, sociopathic scumbags who can't see beyond the next month's profits. So they always cut corners and they cheat and they take huge risks. And then when things go wrong, everybody else pays for it. The little guy takes it on the neck, while they continue to rake in all kinds of money. A perfect example of this is that Texas allows chemical companies to store their chemicals wherever they want to, with no standards, no safety guidelines, no regulation. In fact, the people who live near those facilities are not even allowed to know what's being stored in them. So every now and then one of them explodes and people are killed and their houses are destroyed. But even after that happens, nothing is done to prevent it from happening again, because this would require regulations. So what happened to the Texas power grid is just the tip of the iceberg. There are thousands of other disasters in Texas and in other red states all over the nation just waiting to happen. And And the only way to prevent them is rules and regulation that will force the ultra-rich scumbags to behave a little bit like civilized people. Thanks for listening.